Hello and welcome back to Learn Penang Hokkien. My name is Timothy and I'm here to teach you our language. We are now in the third video in this series. If you recall, in the first video, we learned intonation. We say things like putting together four tones into a set to form the rhythm for Penang Hokkien. If you have no chance to view the first video or the subsequent video, I would encourage you to take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Learn Penang Hokkien YouTube channel, so that you can go through all the videos that I have put together to help people anywhere they may be to learn Penang Hokkien. In the second video, we learn pronouns. So we learn I is wa, you is lu, he, she, it is e, and then we have we is walang or wang, or if together with you is lan or lan lang, and then you all is lulang, and then they all is ilang. So those are things which you have learned so far. It's just a very quick recap. And now in this video, we are going to learn numbers. Yeah, to speak Penang Hokkien, you will need to use numbers, and you're going to need to use numbers constantly. And so, in this foundation part of the series, it's necessary for you to learn numbers. So, we are going to start with 1 to 10 first, okay? Number 1, in Penang Hokkien, we say as chit, and also we say as it. Okay, it's chit or it. When do you use chit and when do you use it? It is according to context, and so when the context appears, when the situation appears, I will tell you whether it is chit or it is it. But here I can explain that chit and it. Chit is usually used for cardinal numbers. Cardinal numbers as in fixed item 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We use chit. How about it? It is often but not always. It has the ordinal number properties such as first, second, third. First, second, third. So it is often used for ordinal numbers where in English it will be first. Whereas chit is usually used for cardinal numbers where it is 1. Okay, it's like 1 versus first. So 1 is usually chit, and first is usually it, but not always so. Nevertheless, number 1 you learn as chit as well as it. Number 2 is the same. For chit is no is 2, and for it is g. Okay, so no is number 2, and g is also 2, but it has the properties of second. It has the property of second. So g is like second, but not always so. So you just learn that 2 is either g or no. Okay, no has cardinal properties and g has ordinal properties. And from there on, the rest of the number is constant. Number 3 is sa. Number 3 is sa. Number 4 is si. Number 4 is si. And then 5 is go. Go is 5. And then 6 is lak. Number 6 is lak. And then 7 is chit. Chit. And then 8 is pe. Pe. And then 9 is cow. Cow. And number 10 is chap. Chap. Now, to recap, 1 to 10, you say chit, no, sa, si, go, lak, chit, pe, cow, chap. Or 8, ji, sa, si, go, lak, chit, pe, cow, chap. So that's 1 to 10. Now let's go 11 to 20. 11 is chap it. Listen carefully. Chap it is the combination of chap and it. So here what comes out is it. Chap it. Not chap jit. Wrong. Not chap jit, but chap it. Chap it is 11. And also listen carefully to the word chap. It is chap. C-A-P. Chap is C-A-P 1, but chap it is C-A-P 3. So the 1 has become 3. In Penang Hokkien, words tend to change their tone whenever you put another word or syllable behind it. So this is an example in numbers where when you put it behind the word chap, the word chap changes its tone from chap to chap. So we say chap it, not chap it. Okay? We say chap it. Chap it is 11. Chap G is 12. We say chap G, not chap no, but chap G. So we use the numbers that has the ordinal properties it and G to express 11 and 12. So 11 is chap it, 12 is chap G, 13 is chap sa, and then the rest is quite easy. 14 is chap si, 15 is chap go, 16 is chap lak, 17 is chap chit, 18 is chap pe, 19 is chap kau, and 20 is ji chap. Again, we use the number with the ordinal properties is ji chap, not no chap. Ji chap. 21 is ji chap it. Ji chap it. 22 is ji chap ji. Ji chap ji. And then 23 is ji chap sa. 24 is ji chap si. 25 is ji chap go. 26 is ji chap lak. 27 is ji chap chit. 28 is ji chap pe. 29 is ji chap kau. And then 30 is sa chap. And you will see the format and arrangement is standard beyond that. So 31 is sa chap it. And then 32 sa chap ji. 33 sa chap sa. 34 sa chap si. When the locals speak Penang Hokkien, sometimes they tend to slur the words. 31, instead of saying sa chap it, they may say sam it. Sam it is also 31. So when you hear them speak and they tend to speak quite quickly, they will slur and sometimes they will merge or fuse the words together. Though the syllables, when they are fused together, sa chap it becomes sam it. Sa chap ji, 32 becomes sam ji. So sam ji, sam sa, sam si, sam go, sam lak, sam chit, sam pe, sam kau, si chap. And then 40 si chap. 41 si chap it. But often they also say si it. Si it 41. Si it 41 is si chap it. Just now when I say sa chap it, it comes from sa becomes sa. Sa becomes sa. Sa is SNAR 1 sa. It becomes sa SNAR 3. So beware when you speak Penang Hokkien, the tone change. So you just follow me, look closely at the tone numbers and how they change, because it's very important for you to pronounce it correctly. You never pronounce it the same way if you fit another syllable behind that word. So sa becomes sa, as in sa chap it. But on its own, it is sa. When the word is standing on its own, it is said to be in the citation form. The citation form is the form of that word as it appears in the Penang Hokkien dictionary. So a word before it undergoes a tone change is called in the citation form. So sa is in the citation form. But when you fit other words to it like sa chap, when you fit a chap behind it, the sa has changed its tone to sa. The changed tone word is said to be in the sandhi form. In the sandhi form, so it is no longer sa, it has become sa. So sa chap is 13, sa chap it. The word chap also changed its form because you put the word it behind it. So each word will change its tone with more syllables added behind it. So sa chap it, sa chap it, not sa chap it, not sa chap it, but sa chap it. So sa chap it, sa chap ji, sa chap sa chap si, sa chap go, sa chap la, sa chap chit, sa chap pe, sa chap cao, si chap. Si chap is si, si, SEE 3, but it changes its form to si chap, SEE 1. So the tone changes I will teach you in more detail in our next video because there is an easy rule to remember. There is a very easy rule for you to follow. One good thing is that this tone changes follows a regular pattern. So you don't have to try to memorize this word, how does it change tone? That word, how does it change its tone? Everything follows a same regular pattern, and we will learn that in the next video. But here you are exposed to instances where each syllable change its tone whenever you fit another word behind it. So where are we? We are now in 40. 40 is si chap, and then si chap it, si chap ji, si chap sa, si chap si, si chap go, si chap lak, si chap chit, si chap pe, si chap cao, go chap it, go chap ji, go chap sa, go chap si, go chap go chap lak, go chap chit, go chap pe, go chap cao, lak chap. Now, I'm going to go back to the number go chap. You will notice that the word go has three twice. G-O-R 3. Words that has 3 does not change its tone. So if you see words with the number 3 behind it rather than just a single 3, it means that word does not change its tone even when you fit another syllable behind it. That is why go becomes go chap. Still the same word go. Go chap we have got done until go chap cao, then lak chap. So lak chap again changes tone. So it comes from lak, L-A-R-K 1 becomes lak, L-A-R-K 3, lak chap. If it's single number, the tone number is there's a single digit, it will change its tone. If it's double digit and there's only one type which is 3, it does not change its tone. So lak chap it, lak chap ji, lak chap sa, lak chap si, lak chap go, lak chap lak, lak chap chit, lak chap pe, lak chap cao, chit chap it, chit chap ji, chit chap sa, chit chap si, chit chap go, chit chap lak, chit chap chit, chit chap pe, chit chap cao, pe chap it, pe chap ji, pe chap sa, pe chap si, pe chap go, pe chap lak, pe chap chit, pe chap pe, pe chap cao, cao chap it, cao chap ji, cao chap sa, cao chap si, cao chap go, cao chap lak, cao chap chit, cao chap pe, cao chap cao, chit pa. 100 is chit pa. Here you see that we use chit rather than it. We don't say it pa. No, wrong. It's chit pa. Chit pa is 100. Use my video and follow me as I say the numbers. Pause the video anywhere you like. Rewind and re-say the numbers so that you become familiar with it. we are now at 100, which is cepat. 101 is cepat kong it. And here there's one number which I have not taught you, and that is the number kong. Kong means 0. So 101 is 101. That's where the word kong appears. It changes its tone from kong to kong. So it's cepat kong it, cepat kong ji, cepat kong sa, cepat kong si, cepat kong go, cepat kong lak, cepat kong chit, cepat kong pe, cepat kong kau, cepat cap. Or we can say pak cap. Sometimes we drop the one in front if it's one. When it's just one, a singular one is often dropped for 100. So we don't say 101, we say 101. You just say 101, pa it. And cepat cap it, cepat cap ji, cepat cap sa, cepat cap si, cepat cap go, cepat cap lak, cepat cap chit, cepat cap pe, cepat cap kau, cepat ji cap or pak ji. Okay, cepat ji cap or pak ji. And then if pak sa means 130, pak si 140, pak go 150, pak lak 160, pak chit 170, 171, cepat chit cap it, cepat chit cap ji, cepat chit cap sa, cepat chit cap si, cepat chit cap go, and so on. Now 200 is no pak. No pak is 200. 201, no pak kong it. And then no pak kong ji, no pak kong sa, no pak kong si, no pak kong go, no pak kong lak, no pak kong chit, no pak kong pe, no pak kong kau, no pak cap, no pak cap it, no pak cap ji, no pak cap sa, no pak cap si, no pak cap go, and so on. No pak ji cap go, no pak sa cap, no pak si cap si, no pak go cap lak, no pak lak cap chit, no pak chit cap pe, no pak pe cap, no pak pe cap sa, no pak kau cap, no pak kau cap it, no pak kau cap kau, sa pak. Sa pak, si pak, go pak, lak pak, chit pak, pe pak, kau pak. And then 1000 is called chicheng, or often we just say cheng. 1001 is chicheng it, or chicheng kong kong it. So chicheng kong kong it, chicheng kong kong ji. We can just shorten it to chicheng kong it, chicheng kong ji, chicheng kong sa, chicheng kong si, chicheng cap, chicheng cap it, chicheng cap ji. And then no cheng. No cheng is 2000. And then 2500 no cheng go pa. 2516 no cheng go pa cap lak. Lak cheng chit pa cap kau. Chit cheng pe pa pe cap it. Kau cheng kau pa cap lak. Sa cheng no pa cap ji. Si cheng si pa cap. Go cheng go pa. So we have reached until 1000. Now 10,000 is called ban. So 10,000 we say chip ban. Chip ban is 10,000. 20,000 is no ban. So no ban is 20,000. Sa ban 30,000. So how do you say maybe 25,000? There are two ways. You can say ji chap go cheng or no ban go cheng. But from my own experience, it's more common to say ji chap go cheng. Ji chap go cheng is 25,000. You use the ban when it is a complete number, such as si ban. means 40,000. But if it's 41,000, we say si chap it cheng. Si chap it cheng for 41,000. Luckily, it's almost like in English, 41,000, si chap it cheng. Okay, and then go chap go cheng is 55,000. And then 60,000 is lak ban or lak chap cheng. 75,100 is chi chap go cheng chipa. Chi chap go cheng chipa. And so on. If you are practicing numbers and if you are unsure whether the number that you have expressed is correct or not, feel free to show to me. You can put it in the comment of this YouTube video. Yeah, this video will be on Facebook, but it will also be on YouTube. I will put the link to this video on YouTube so that if you want to ask me any questions, you can go to that YouTube video and put in the comment, and I will check to see whether you have expressed it correctly. So we conclude this particular portion of this video. In the next portion, we are going to learn some simple arithmetic. So I will see you there very soon. Hello and welcome back to our Learn Penang Hokkien video on numbers. In our earlier part, we learned the numbers all the way up to 10,000, to the thousand, to the tens of thousand. And in this part of the video, we are going to learn some simple arithmetic. We are going to learn how to plus, minus, multiply, and divide. So to plus is use the word ke. Ke means to add. So as it ke it si ji. 1 plus 1 is 2. It ke it si ji. So another word that you will learn here is si. Si. Si means is, and it's also like the yes. When you want to say yes to someone, it's also si. Almost like the Spanish si, señor, si. Yeah, they in Spanish is si. As if it's expressed in our Taiji romanization, si is si4. But here is si, and it's expressed as si33. Si33, you will see that it has a 3 there. So if you remember, if there's a 3, it means that that word does not change its tone regardless if you put another syllable behind it. So 1 plus 1 is 2 is it ke it si ji. Okay, it ke it si ji. No, 3 plus 2 is 5. Sa ke ji to si go. Sa ke ji to si go. You can say si, and you can also say to si. To si also means is. Is a more emphatic type of is. So, as in 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. So you will see to si quite often, and it's used almost interchangeably with si. Go ke it to si lak. Ji chap ke chap to si sa chap. Ji chap it ke chap it to si sa chap ji. 21 plus 11 is 32. So that is plus. The next one is minus. 3 minus 1 is 2. Sa kiam it to si ji. Sa kiam it to si ji. 3 minus 1 is 2. Or you can say sa kiam it si ji. Sa kiam it si ji. 10 minus 7 is 3. 10 minus 7 is 3. So 10 chap kiam chit si sa. Chap kiam chit si sa, or chap kiam chit to si sa. So it's up to you whether you want to use si or to si. Chap go kiam go to si chap. Chap go kiam go to si chap. 15 minus 5 is 10. Okay. 25 minus 20 is 5. Ji chap go. Kiam ji chap si go. Ji chap go. Kiam ji chap si go. So that is minus. Now, multiply or times is sing. Ji sing sa to si lak. Ji sing sa to si lak. 2 multiplied by 3 is 6. Sa sing sa to si cao. Sa sing sa to si cao. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Chap sing chap to si chipa. Chap sing chap to si chipa. 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 10 is 100. Chap ji sing sa si sa chap lak. Chap ji sing sa si sa chap lak. 12 times 3 is 36. 12 times 3 is 36. And the last one is divide. Divide, we say tu or pun. We can use the word tu means to divide, or pun means to segregate or to separate. Both of them can be used to mean to divide. For example, we can say 2 divided by 2 is 1. G2G C8. G2G C8. Or G pun G C8. G pun G C8. G pun G to C8. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Chap 2 G C go. Chap 2 G C go. Chap 2 G C go. Chap G 2 G C lak. Chap G 2 G C lak. G chap 2 go C C. G chap 2 go C C. Okay? Sa chap lak 2 lak to C lak. Sa chap lak 2 lak to C lak. So always remember, you can say C, and you can also say to C. It's up to you. There's no difference, or rather, there is a slight difference. To C has a more emphatic type of C. A more emphatic type of C is to C. So that concludes this part of our lesson. In the next part of our lesson, we'll put some words into it, such as dollar or time and so on. Okay, so I'll see you in a very short while. Hello and welcome back to Learn Penang Hokkien. We are now working on numbers. In the first part of this video, we learned the numbers. In the second part, we learned some simple arithmetic. And in this third part, we are going to learn some words, measure words that are used with numbers. So the first one is ringgit, for money. That we say ko is ringgit. So 2 ringgit is no ko. No ko is 2 ringgit. This we will learn in greater detail. Today we are only learning in passing. We are going to touch on money itself in its own chapter, in its own video. But this is just in passing. So because we want to use it with numbers, so I'm just teaching you now that ko is ringgit. So sa ko, no ko, and so on. Chi ko, ke, no ko, si sa ko. Chi ko, ke, no ko, si sa ko. It means 1 ringgit plus 2 ringgit is 3 ringgit. Days, day is jit. So chap jit, 10 days. Ji chap jit, 20 days. So that's days. And then lei pai is week. Lei pai is week. Chi lei pai, no lei pai, sa lei pai. Chi lei pai, no lei pai, sa lei pai. Okay? Sa lei pai sing ji, to si lak lei pai. Sa lei pai sing ji, to si lak lei pai. 3 weeks times 2 is 6 weeks. So lei pai is week. Hour is tiam cheng. Tiam cheng is hour. 2 hours no tiam cheng. 3 hours sa tiam cheng. 4 hours si tiam cheng. So the expression of time also will be taught to you in its own video because there's so much to learn there. So we are just now scratching the surface. We are just scratching the surface on this so that you have an intro. So hour is tiam cheng. Okay, 3 hours 3點鐘, 12 hours 12點鐘, 12點鐘. What else is there? Metric system. In metric, we just express it more or less the same. So 1 kilogram, we say 1 kilo, 1 kilo, 1 kilo. However, 1 kilometer is 1 km, 1 km, 1 km, 100 kilometers. And then 100 kilogram, 1 kilo, 1 kilo. So kilo for kilogram and km for kilometers. Weight as in pound. 1 pound is chipun, chipun. But nowadays we don't quite use the imperial system anymore. So it's falling out of use. How we say chipun. More likely we are going to say chikilo. Okay, chikilo. Cipak gram. So gram is gram. No change to that. It's very easy to remember when you go and buy something. So you want to say, I want 200 gram. No pak gram. And then liter is the same. Just say liter. Chap go liter. Ji chap liter. Go chap go liter. So this will conclude this part of this video. And in our next part, we are going to do some practice exercises. Okay, I will see you then. Hello and welcome back to Learn Penang Hokkien. In this video, we are learning numbers. We have so far learned the numbers itself. We have learned some simple arithmetic, and we have also learned some words used for measurements that are expressed with numbers. And now it's time to do some exercises so that you get familiar with numbers. In the first part of the exercise, I'm going to say the word in Penang Hokkien. You need to be able to tell me what is that word. Okay? Try to say it before I give you the answer. So I'm going to start by saying a word or number in Penang Hokkien. Tell me, say out, what is that word? The first one is luck. Luck. What is luck? 6. Luck is 6. The second one is Kong. Kong. What is Kong? Kong is 0. Kong is 0. The third one is Chap Sa. Chap Sa. Chap Sa. Chap Sa is 13. How about Ji Chap Ji? Ji Chap Ji. What is Ji Chap Ji? Ji Chap Ji is 22. Next one is Chipak Kong Chi. Chipak Kong Chi. Chipak Kong Chi is 107. 107. Next one is Nopak Chap Lak. Nopak Chap Lak. What is Nopak Chap Lak? Nopak Chap Lak is 216. Sapak Sa Chap Si. Sapak Sa Chap Si. Sapak Sa Chap Si. That is 334. How about Gopak Lak? Gopak Lak. Gopak Lak is 560. What about Gopak Kong Lak? Gopak Kong Lak. Gopak Kong Lak is 506. 506. Chicheng no pa. Chicheng no pa. That is 1,200. Sa cheng si chap it. Sa cheng si chap it. Sa cheng si chap it is 3,041. 3,041. No ban. No ban. No ban is 20,000. Chap sa cheng. Chap sa cheng. Chap sa cheng is 13,000. Gao chap chit cheng. Gao chap chit cheng. That is 97,000. Okay, that concludes that part of our practice exercises. In the next part, I'm going to say the number in English. I need you to express it in Penang Hokkien. Okay, are you ready? Let's start with the first number. Say number 4. 4. Number 4 is C. C. How about number 16? Number 16 in Penang Hokkien. 16 in Penang Hokkien is chap lak. Chap lak. 31. How to say 31 in Penang Hokkien? 31 is sa chap it. Sa chap it. 45. 45 in Penang Hokkien is si chap go. Si chap go. 78. 78 in Penang Hokkien. 78 in Penang Hokkien is chit chap pe. Chit chap pe. 115 in Penang Hokkien. 115. 115 in Penang Hokkien is chipa chap go. Chipa chap go. 225. 225 in Penang Hokkien. No pa ji chap go. No pa ji chap go. And here I want to point out to you is no pa ji chap go. The two expressions of 2 comes out in this number. No pa, we use no, and then ji chap go. Ji, we use ji also. So no pa ji chap go. As I mentioned earlier in our lesson, the number no and the number ji appears together. Sometimes it appears together in a single number. So no pa ji chap go. 319. 319. Sa pa chap cao. Sa pa chap cao. 2,100 is no cheng it or no cheng chipa. No cheng chipa, the locals usually say no cheng it. No cheng it. So you get here, you see it comes out and chit also comes out depending on how you want to express it. You can say no cheng chipa or no cheng it for 2,100. 3,200. How do you express 3,200 in Penang Hokkien? It is either sa cheng ji, sa cheng ji, or sa cheng no pa. Sa cheng no pa. So you will see that you will use ji or it, the ordinal properties, when you shorten the number. But if you are going to express it in whole, then you use ji and no, as in sa cheng no pa or sa cheng ji. Okay, and then 5,016. 5,016. How to say 5,016? Go ching chap lak. Go ching chap lak. Okay. Go ching chap lak is 5,016. Now, 10,000. How do you say 10,000? 10,000 is chiban. Chiban or chap ching. Chap ching. Chiban and chap ching both means 10,000. How about 16,000? 16,000. Chap lak ching. Chap lak ching. How about 25,000? 25,000. Ji chap go ching. Ji chap go ching. Okay, and then 99,000 is 99,000. Gao chap gao ching. Gao chap gao ching. Okay, so that concludes this part of our video, and in our final part we'll practice it with arithmetic as well as with word measuring words. Hello and welcome back to Learn Penang Hokkien, and we are still in the practice section. Here we are going to practice some simple arithmetic, and before we get started I want to teach you two more words, and it is called choche. Choche. Choche means how much. So when you are doing arithmetic, you are going to end each sentence with choche, as in 1 plus 1 is how much. 1 plus 1 is how much. You will say it get it si choche. It get it si choche. So I ask you, it get it si choche. 1 plus 1 is how much? What's the answer? So it get it to si ji. It get it to si ji. Sa kiam ji si choche. Sa kiam ji si choche. What does that mean? Sa kiam ji si choche means 3 minus 2 is how much? 3 minus 2 is how much? 3 minus 2 is sa kiam ji si 8. Sa kiam ji si 8. Okay. Ji sing ji si choche. Ji sing ji si choche. 2 times 2 is how much? So ji sing ji si si. So you see two words that sound almost the same, but they are spelled differently. The first one is si. The second one is also si. Ji sing ji si si. Ji sing ji si si means 2 times 2 is 4. So the word for is and the word for 4 sounds the same, only spelled differently. Ji sing go ni. Another word that you can learn now is ni. Ji sing go ni. Ni is to continue a question. So it is how about. How about. So ji sing go ni is how about 2 times 5. Ji sing go ni. How about 2 times 5? So, ji sing go si chap. Ji sing go si chap. Chap tu go ni. Chap tu go ni. Or chap tu go si choche. Chap tu go si choche means how about 10 divided by 5, or 10 divided by 5 is how much? Chap tu go si ji. Chap tu go si ji. Ji chap tu si ni. Ji chap tu si choche. Ji chap tu si go. Ji chap tu si go. Now we put some measure words into it. Chiko ke chiko si choche. Chiko ke chiko si choche. 1 ringgit plus 1 ringgit is how much? Chiko ke chiko si no ko. Chiko ke chiko si no ko. Sajit ke sajit si choche. Sajit ke sajit si choche. Sajit ke sajit si lakjit. Sajit ke sajit si lakjit. Lạc dịch xính xa xì cho chê. Lạc dịch xính xa xì cho chê. Lạc dịch xính xa xì chập bệ dịch. Lạc dịch xính xa xì chập bệ dịch. Chỉ lễ bài kè chỉ lễ bài xì cho chê. Chỉ lễ bài kè chỉ lễ bài xì nọ lễ bài. Chỉ bạc gram kè xa bạc gram xì cho chê. Chỉ bạc gram kè xa bạc gram xì cho chê. Chỉ bạc gram kè xa bạc gram xì xì bạc gram. Chỉ bạc gram kè xa bạc gram xì xì bạc gram. So that more or less concludes our video on numbers. We are going to revisit numbers over and over, so that eventually we will get very familiar with it. But I hope that with this introduction you'll have a better idea of numbers. Again, feel free to run through this video as often as needed so that you can become very familiar with those numbers and can either understand them when it's spoken or be able to express them when the situation requires. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the Learn Penang Hokkien YouTube channel, and also hit the notification bell so that I can notify you every time I upload a new video. Okay, it's such a joy to teach you, and I hope that eventually you will become quite fluent in conversational Penang Hokkien and can carry yourself with the locals here in Penang. Thanks for watching and see you again soon.